got some juicy news from the Fed and it's pro-crypto action. What about who can replace Jerome Powell? Ooh, and the Treasury Secretary makes an admission about stablecoins and national debt. What about Xrp and national debt? We'll talk price action of that and Hbar price action because there's a discount on aisle 5 and the SEC says, yo, most cryptos aren't securities. Well, then why are you getting involved? You're the Securities Exchange Commission. That, along with...
I say lots of naughty things, so here's your warning.
Been a productive day so far. CAT scan, a little bit of tile work with my daughter, renovating the kids' bathroom. Yeah, dad and daughter time. Nothing wrong with that. I got green up on the screen, but it's all relative. Because it's green compared to 24 hours ago, yeah. We got our favorites still under some key price points. Look at Hbar under 25 cents. But bro, we're never going to be at these levels again. That's what the players on X say. Well, the players on X are probably on X. Maybe. I don't know. No, or they're just plain freaking retarded. What about the Fed telling the banks, you better adopt blockchain or risking irrelevance? Michelle Bowman would be a good person to replace Jerome Powell, wouldn't she? Yeah, she loves crypto, and she loves the idea of rate cuts. Bowman for Fed president. Now, before we get into crypto news, you know the deal. You, the viewer, matter most, so I'll share your comments at the beginning of everyone. Arbrecht says, a crypto news duty makes you laugh out loud. What more do you need? BJ in the morning would be great. Yates Doan is hanging out with us. Is loving how you keep it real, Klaus. Thank you. Short, sweet, and to the point. Good luck on the scan. That's right. I had my CAT scan this morning. A little bit of brain and sinus action. Hopefully they find something jingling around up in here. Other than a brain. I mean, hopefully they find a brain up in there. You always want to do heat map? No, you don't. Let's move right into the news. This is it. Atkins says very few tokens are securities. Dude, seriously, if that's the case, why are you even getting involved in crypto regs? Like, seriously, the SEC is like, you know what? Very few cryptos are securities. This from the people that regulate securities. The new head of the SEC, Paul Atkins, has reinforced his stance that only a small number of digital tokens should be classified as securities. Speaking Tuesday at the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium, Atkins stated that very few tokens meet the definition, stressing that the classification depends on how an asset is packaged and sold. Maybe what we really need, Atkins, is a better, broader definition of crypto. Because even within different cryptocurrencies, we have different uses. Utility tokens are different than meme, which is different than store of value, which is different than stablecoin, which is different than you get my frickin' point. Atkins emphasized the Commission's approach is shifting away from the idea that there's tokens and securities by default. He explained that just the token itself is not necessarily a security, and probably not. Well, Atkins, how about you start approving some ETFs, you fucking knob job? U.S. Treasury Secretary makes a stunning admission on stablecoins and national debt. What, Besant? The national debt's really bad and it's only getting worse and we keep raising the debt ceiling, even though when the Democrats held the majority, the Republicans were like, you can't raise the debt ceiling. That would be very irresponsible of you. And then the Republicans did it themselves. I'm not playing favorites here. I'm just telling you exactly what's happening. U.S. Treasury Scott Bessent, Secretary, has pointed out that the rising influence stablecoin industry in addressing the country's escalating government debt. He highlighted how stablecoin issuers, particularly those backed by U.S. Treasuries, could evolve into notable buyers of government securities, aka debt, providing a new funding channel for debt financing. Basically, Bessent is saying, oh, okay, stablecoin players, buy U.S. government debt. So now the United States government is like, okay, baby, we're cool with stablecoins because you can buy our bullshit. The newly passed Genius Act mandates that U.S. dollar-pegged stablecoins should be fully backed by secure assets such as short-term treasury bills. The goal is to provide both regulatory clarity and a source of fiscal utility for the government. So yeah, we don't mind if you pimp crypto as long as you back it with our bullshit debt. I mean, that's just the truth for you. So if you wonder why the Genius Act was so important, it's because the United States government is looking for someone to pimp their shit to. They don't sell drugs, they sell debt. Trump criticizes Powell time and time again. He calls him a dum-dum. He said he's late to the party. I'm paraphrasing. He probably has called him a dum-dum some time ago. But Trump criticism of Powell may underscore high rates' impact on home buyers and Bitcoin. Look, the housing market sucks. BTC would do better if rates were lower. And the reality is Jerome Powell is in the office as, yes, Fed El Presidente until May of 2026. And Powell doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Now, Fed's Michelle Bowman, not the hottest cookie out there, but maybe back in the day she'd be worth a spin or two, just throwing it out there. She's pro-crypto. She's also pretty smart. She's also a pretty good speaker. She also seems to do pretty good at her job, and I think that's most important. That being said, I like her glasses. Okay, here's what she said. Fed's Bowman urges loosening of crypto investment ban for staff to boost understanding. That's kind of important. She said there's no replacement for experimenting and understanding how ownership and transfer flows work. Now, Homegirl's talking about experimentation. She may have just gained some points with me right there. But what she's really talking about is for people at the Fed that work there to start experimenting with crypto. How do you better learn about stuff than experimentation? Someone tell my wife that. I think I'm going to snip this article and send it to my wife. I'm going to be like, sweetie, Vice Chair Michelle Bowman said that you need to experiment, and no better way than to play the tip game. Just quoting the Fed. Either way, look, I like it. Now, she's taking this a step further. Michelle Bowman, the same lady who was in the previous article right there, says that banks need to adopt a blockchain or risk irrelevance. This is very, very different than what you get from Jerome Powell. Still, both the Fed and banks are too careful when it comes to embracing new technologies, and that's the Fed as a whole. There are a couple players in the Fed that are pro-crypto. There are a couple players at the Fed that want to cut rates, but the Fed as a whole is kind of fuddy-duddy, boring. According to Bowman, part of this is due to reputational risk, which played a key role in the debanking controversy where banks reportedly denied services to legal businesses that did not align with the political goals of the mainstream. And remember, crypto was never against the law, but these players got debanked for being legal. That's messed up. That is a huge violation of rights. That's a huge violation of financial rights, too. So what she said, let me be clear. We must adopt an approach that does not penalize or prohibit a bank from banking a customer engaged in legal activity. I agree, sister. Keep preaching. This approach must allow and encourage banks to provide banking products and services to any legal business without disfavoring any particular viewpoints, businesses, or industries. Bowman stated. I agree. So you do have players in the Fed that are pro-crypto. And what do you think of her as replacing Jerome Powell? Pro-rate cuts, pro-crypto. She's all about experimentation. Guys, ladies, what do you think? Overall in the crypto market, volume 190 billion. Altcoin season still holding in there. Hbar price action, yeah, we've hit some 23 cents. A little bit of support bouncing up from there. Zoom out to the 1 month on the candlestick eroni, and what do you see? We keep bouncing up from 23. Yeah, we float north of 25 often, but we need more. We need more clarity from Hbar. Hbar doesn't have as much of a well-defined pattern as the rest of the cryptos do. Look at this. This is the 1 year chart for Hbar, and what do you notice there? Yeah, pretty well-defined double bottom. Look at these lows on these candlesticks right here. 12.6 on that one, and look at this one right here. 12.62, 12.62, 12.63. So yeah, they're right there on the lows. Double bottom pattern for Hbar for the 1 year. We eclipsed the head, right? We saw 30, too aggressive right now price-wise for Hbar. We're fighting right around that 25-cent mark. You can get discounts, it's obvious, right? Because we haven't really established a strong floor for Hbar. Volume, 335 million. Not the juiciest, but still respectable. ETFs are going to help out, but we're looking at November for that action right there. Now, regs are probably going to happen before that, which is going to help out greatly. But Hbar fans, be honest with me. Do you feel better after the double bottom on the 1 year? Do you feel as optimistic as you did in November, January, knowing that we got a good chance of getting regs here September, October? Almost a year later. Think about that. A year later. This is a long play. Remember, a lot of players here were talking about, oh, bro, by January, you're going to be a couple dollars for Hbar. We're still trying to fight for 25 cents. Let's just keep it real. XRP, yeah, we're coming closer to that $3 mark. We're at $2.94 right now. 7.5 billion on the volume erodi. Right now, the 7-day chart doesn't look the best. I get it. But we're bouncing up from the lows. Look at the 24-hour. You see exactly what I'm talking about. People panic sell. They take their profits. Then we start rebounding stronger. $2.95 right now on price. With the volume being healthy like this, you see a big discrepancy. And again, XRP's got the ETFs in the barrel. We've got what, everyone? We've got regs as well. We've actually got quite a few ETFs for XRP. The case, big nothing burger price-wise, right? It was an opportunity for what? Players to take profits? Yeah. Sell it off, a little pumperoni, dumperoni. So let's just zoom out a little bit. You got some players at the Fed like Michelle Bowman that are like, look, we could play just the tip. That's the best way to experiment is to learn. Okay, cool. You got Trump criticizing Powell. Can't fire Powell. Powell probably won't resign. Probably going to run out his term to May of 2026. Treasury Secretary is like, yo, I like stable coins. The United States government likes stable coins. Why? Because you guys buy our debt. Yeah, I mean, anyone that buys your product, they're probably going to be a big friend of yours. SEC says very few tokens are securities. Cool. Then get the fuck out of our way. I know. Bowman is like, yo, boobala. We need more adoption, or else you're going to be left behind. Not price-wise, though, because price-wise, no one's getting left behind because we still haven't gotten the Clarity yet. And we're not getting the Clarity Act. We're going to get some modified version of the Clarity Act called who knows what. Because we're probably going to be going with the Senate's version. Because remember, the Senate did their own market structure bill, too. Yeah. So who knows? We're going to get some modified garbly gook. September, October, somewhere around there. So we're going to be like a year into this play. Because remember, this play started all the way in November with election time, 2024. So we'll be a year into this move. And some players are getting some support. Some players are getting even more support, Aroni. Yeah, the charts look way, way different, don't they? Look at that. Look at it. That's the 1 year for XRP. That's the 1 year for Hbar. Yeah, it looks very different, doesn't it? So choo-choo. Oh, we're not at the outro yet. Players are taking profits, and ain't nothing wrong with that. It's just frustrating, especially if you don't have the dry powder and you haven't met your goals yet. Yeah, but the market's going to be volatile for a while, especially until we get regs and we get more players with the ETF action. Now, that being said, it'd be nice if we got some regs which clearly define if cryptos are, yes, a security, a commodity, etc. I know. Then the SEC could leave us the F alone. By the way, we still don't have a CFTC head. Just throwing it out there. We're, yeah, how many months into the new presidency and we still don't have that. So Congress is doing a bang up job getting these people passed through. So just throwing it out there. Congress on fuego. Oh yeah, weren't we also promised crypto regs by now? Yeah, doing an amazing, amazing job. Strategic Reserve? No, don't have that yet. Amazing. Stellar job. But we got the Genius Act, which does what, everyone? Forces players to be compliant by buying United States debt. Oh, isn't that convenient? Yeah. The one thing we do pass forces people to buy U.S. debt. Can't make that shit up, can you? No, you can't. So choo-choo what? Choo-choo biz nachos. And go White Sox. Can you at least beat the Braves once? Please? Please?